The rain battered the windows of our suburban Virginia home, a relentless drumbeat that mirrored the storm in my heart. I stood frozen in the kitchen, clutching a mug of cold coffee, as my stepdaughter Lily's words echoed. "I'm in love with her, Sarah. I can't keep pretending." 3 sentences, sharp as a blade, had just sliced through the fragile normalcy of our lives, and I wasn't sure if I was ready for what came next. I'd known Lily since she was 12, a wiry kid with a crooked grin who'd stumbled into my life when I married her father, Tom. At 38, I thought I'd seen it all: love, loss, the messy edges of family, but nothing prepared me for the way Lily, now 18, looked at me tonight. Her green eyes, usually so guarded, were raw with fear and defiance, like she was daring the world to break her. She'd always been a puzzle, a girl who wore her rebellion like armor, but beneath it, I saw something softer, something she'd hidden until now. It started 6 months ago, when Lily began sneaking out at night. Tom thought it was just teenage rebellion, late-night parties, maybe a boyfriend. I wasn't so sure. There was a quiet intensity to her, a secret she carried in the way she'd linger at the window, staring at the street as if waiting for someone. I'd catch her texting furiously, her face lit by the glow of her phone, a smile flickering that wasn't meant for me or her father. When I asked, she'd shrug, muttering, "Just friends, Sarah." But I knew better. I'd been 18 once, in love and terrified of being seen. The truth came out in fragments like a Polaroid developing in reverse. Lily's friend was Mia, a girl from her senior class. I'd met Mia once, a lanky 19-year-old with wild curls and a laugh that filled a room. She'd come over to study, but I noticed how Lily's whole body seemed to lean toward her, like a flower chasing sunlight. I didn't push, didn't pry. I remembered what it was like to guard a secret so big it could shatter your world. But tonight everything changed. "Sarah, I need to tell you something," Lily had said, her voice trembling as we sat on the couch after Tom went to bed. The storm outside roared, but her words were louder. "Mia's not just my friend. I love her. I'm a lesbian." The air felt heavy, electric. I wanted to reach for her, to pull her into a hug, but her eyes held me back, bracing for judgment, for rejection. I thought of my own past, the years I'd spent hiding my own feelings for women, burying them under a marriage to Tom because it was easier, safer. I'd never told anyone, not even him. And now, here was Lily, baring her soul, trusting me with a truth I'd never had the courage to speak. "Lily," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, "thank you for telling me." Her shoulders sagged, relief mingling with disbelief. "I'm not going to lie and say this won't be hard. Your dad, he's not going to understand right away. But you're not alone, okay? I'm here." She nodded, tears spilling over, and for the first time in years she let me hold her. Her body shook against mine, and I felt the weight of her fear, her hope, her love for Mia. I wanted to protect her, to shield her from the world's cruelty, but I knew the road ahead would be brutal. Tom was a good man, but his small-town upbringing made him rigid, his views on family values unshakable. I'd heard him scoff at same-sex couples on the news, dismissing them with a wave of his hand. How would he react to his own daughter? As Lily pulled back, wiping her eyes, she whispered, "I don't know how to tell him. He'll hate me." "He won't hate you," I said, though doubt gnawed at me. "He loves you. It's just going to take time." That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling as Tom snored beside me. My mind churned with memories of my own youth, stolen glances at girls in high school, a crush I'd buried so deep it still ached. I'd chosen safety over truth, but Lily was braver than I'd ever been. She deserved better than a life in the shadows. I vowed to stand by her, no matter what it cost. The next morning, Lily was quieter than usual, picking at her cereal while Tom read the paper. I watched her, my heart aching. She was still the same girl who'd made me laugh with her terrible puns, who'd helped me plant tulips in the backyard. But now, I saw her differently, not just as my stepdaughter, but as a young woman fighting for her truth. I wanted to tell her about my own past, to let her know she wasn't alone, but the words stuck in my throat. What right did I have to burden her with my regrets? Mia came over that afternoon, her presence like a spark in a dry field. She and Lily sat on the porch, their laughter drifting through the open window. I watched from the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner, my hands moving on autopilot. Mia's hand brushed Lily's, and the tenderness in that small gesture hit me like a wave. I remembered what it felt like to want someone so much it hurt, to feel alive in their presence. I envied their courage, their openness, even if it was still half hidden. Tom noticed it too. He glanced out the window, his brow furrowing. "They're awfully close," he said, his tone clipped. "Lily's been acting strange lately. You know anything about that?" My stomach twisted. "She's just figuring herself out," I said carefully. "She's 18, Tom. It's normal." He grunted, unconvinced, and went back to his paper. But I knew this was only the beginning. Lily's truth was a ticking bomb, and when it went off it would change everything. I wasn't sure if I was ready to pick up the pieces or if I'd have the strength to help her rebuild. The days after Lily's confession felt like walking on a tightrope. Every glance, every word carried weight, as if one wrong move could send us all crashing. I watched her and Mia, their stolen moments in the backyard or whispered conversations in her room, and my heart swelled with both pride and dread. Lily was radiant around Mia, her usual guarded demeanor melting into something unguarded, alive. They'd sit cross-legged on the grass, heads bent close, sharing earbuds and giggling over some private joke. Mia's confidence was infectious, teased Lily until her cheeks flushed, and I'd catch Lily stealing glances, her eyes bright with a love she couldn't hide. But with Tom around they were careful, their touches fleeting, their laughter muted. I hated that they had to hide, that their joy was a secret to be guarded. I tried to talk to Tom to gauge how he'd react when the truth came out. Over dinner one night, I brought up a news story about a local pride event, testing the waters. "It's great to see people being themselves, don't you think?" I said, keeping my tone light. Tom frowned, poking at his steak. "I don't get why they need to flaunt it. Live your life fine, but keep it private." My heart sank. I glanced at Lily, who was staring at her plate, her knuckles white around her fork. She didn't say a word, but I could feel her shrinking, pulling back into herself. I wanted to scream at Tom, to shake him until he saw the pain he was causing, but I bit my tongue. This wasn't the moment. Not yet. Instead, I focused on Lily, finding small ways to show her I was on her side. I'd slip her a smile when Mia was around, or ask about their plans in a way that let her know I saw them, really saw them. One afternoon, I found her in the garage, tinkering with an old bike she'd been fixing up for Mia. Grease smudged her cheek, and her eyes were bright with purpose. "It's for Mia's birthday," she said, a shy grin breaking through. "She loves cycling, but her bike's falling apart." I leaned against the workbench, my chest tight with emotion. "That's sweet, Lily. She's lucky to have you." She blushed, ducking her head. I want her to know I care." "You know." "I know," I said softly, and for a moment, I let myself imagine telling her the truth about myself. About the girl I'd loved at 20, whose laugh still echoed in my dreams. But I didn't. This was her moment, not mine. The tension in the house grew thicker as the weeks passed. Tom started asking questions: why Lily was out so late, why Mia was always around. I deflected as best I could, but I could see the suspicion in his eyes. Lily, meanwhile, was pulling away from him, her answers curt, her patience thin. I knew she was scared, but she was also angry, tired of hiding who she was. One night, everything came to a head. Tom caught Lily and Mia holding hands in the living room, their fingers intertwined as they watched a movie. The air froze as he stood in the doorway, his face darkening. "What's this?" he demanded, his voice low and dangerous. Lily's hand jerked away from Mia's, her face paling. Mia sat up straighter, her jaw set, but I could see the fear in her eyes. I stepped forward, my heart pounding, trying to bridge the gap before it exploded. "Tom, let's talk about this calmly," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Calmly?" he snapped, his eyes locked on Lily. "What the hell is going on here, Lily? You and her, are you together?" Lily's lips trembled, but she lifted her chin, her voice steady. "Yes, Dad. I love her. I'm a lesbian." The silence that followed was deafening. Tom's face contorted, shock, anger, betrayal all flashing across it. I braced myself, ready to intervene, but he turned and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Lily flinched, tears welling up, and Mia reached for her, pulling her close. "I'm sorry," Lily whispered, her voice breaking. "Don't be," Mia said fiercely, her arms tight around her. "You were so brave." I stood there, helpless, as the two girls clung to each other. I wanted to go after Tom to make him see reason, but I knew he needed time. Instead, I sat beside Lily, resting a hand on her shoulder. "You did the right thing," I said. "I'm proud of you." She looked at me, her eyes searching mine. "What if he never accepts me?" "He will," I said, though I wasn't sure. "He loves you. It's just a lot for him." That night, Tom didn't come home. I lay awake, listening to the creak of the house, wondering how we'd gotten here. I thought of Lily's courage, of Mia's unwavering support, and I felt a spark of something I hadn't felt in years: hope. Maybe, just maybe, this could be a beginning, not an end. Tom's absence left a void in the house, like a wound that wouldn't close. For days, he stayed at his brother's place, sending only curt texts to say he needed space to think. Lily tried to act like it didn't hurt, but I saw it in the way she lingered by the phone, checking for messages that never came. Mia became her anchor. They spent every moment together, their love a quiet rebellion against the storm. I'd find them curled up on Lily's bed, watching old movies, or sneaking kisses in the kitchen when they thought I wasn't looking. Their joy was a light in the darkness, but it also reminded me of what I'd lost, what I'd never had the courage to claim. I decided to talk to Tom. I drove to his brother's house, my hands gripping the steering wheel as I rehearsed what to say. When he opened the door, he looked tired, his eyes shadowed with something I couldn't quite read: anger, maybe, or shame. "We need to talk about Lily," I said, cutting to the chase. He crossed his arms, leaning against the doorframe. "What's there to talk about? She's made her choice." "It's not a choice, Tom," I said, my voice sharp. "It's who she is. And she's still your daughter." He looked away, his jaw tight. "I don't know how to deal with this, Sarah. It's not normal." I took a deep breath, fighting the urge to snap. "Normal or not, she's hurting. She needs her father. You can't just walk away." He didn't answer, but I saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes. I left him with that, hoping it would be enough to crack the wall he'd built. When I got home, Lily was waiting, her face pale. "Did he say anything?" she asked, her voice small. "He's struggling," I admitted. "But he loves you, Lily. Give him time." She nodded, but the hope in her eyes was fragile. I hated how powerless I felt, how the weight of Tom's reaction pressed on us all. I wanted to fix it, to make everything okay, but I knew some things had to break before they could heal. The next week, Mia's birthday arrived, and Lily threw herself into planning a small celebration. She decorated the backyard with fairy lights, set up a picnic blanket, and presented Mia with the bike she'd been fixing. I watched from the porch, my heart swelling as Mia's face lit up, her arms wrapping around Lily in a hug that spoke of promises and futures. "You did good," I told Lily later as we cleaned up. She smiled, a real smile, the kind that reached her eyes. "I just want her to be happy, you know?" "I know," I said, and the words felt heavy with my own unspoken truths. That night I made a decision. If Lily could be this brave, maybe I could too. I started small, opening up to Lily about my past. One evening, as we sat on the couch, I told her about the girl I'd loved in college, Emma, with her freckled nose and fearless laugh. I told her how I'd walked away, too scared to face the world as myself. Lily listened, her eyes wide. "Why didn't you tell me before?" she asked. "I didn't want to make this about me," I said. "But I want you to know you're not alone. I've been where you are, and I'm so proud of you for choosing love." She hugged me, her arms tight, and for the first time, I felt like we were more than stepmother and stepdaughter. We were allies, bound by a shared truth. It gave me the strength to keep pushing Tom, to keep fighting for Lily's happiness. But the world wasn't done testing us. A week later, Lily came home in tears, her face bruised. She'd been cornered at school by a group of kids who'd overheard her talking about Mia. They'd called her names, shoved her against a locker. Mia had stepped in, but the damage was done. I held her as she cried, rage burning in my chest. "You're stronger than them," I told her. "You're stronger than their hate." But as I tucked her into bed that night, I knew strength alone wouldn't be enough. We needed Tom. We needed a family that stood together no matter what. The bruise on Lily's cheek faded, but the hurt in her eyes lingered. She stopped going to school for a week, afraid of facing the whispers and stares. Mia stayed by her side, fierce and protective, but I could see the toll it was taking on them both. I reported the incident to the school, demanding action. The principal promised to investigate, but his words felt hollow, like he was checking a box. I knew Lily needed more than empty assurances. She needed her father. So I called Tom again, my voice trembling with urgency. "You need to come home," I said. "Lily's been hurt. She needs you." He was quiet for a long moment, then said, "I'll be there tomorrow." When he walked through the door, Lily was in the living room curled up with Mia. She stiffened at the sight of him, her eyes wary. Tom hesitated, his hands shoved in his pockets, then sat across from them. "I heard what happened," he said, his voice rough. "I'm sorry, Lily. I should have been here." She didn't respond, her gaze fixed on the floor. Mia squeezed her hand, a silent reminder that she wasn't alone. I held my breath, waiting for Tom to say something, anything that could bridge the gap. "I don't understand all this," he said finally. "I don't know how to wrap my head around it. But you're my daughter, and I don't want you to hurt." Lily's eyes flicked up, searching his face. "Do you mean that?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "I do," he said, and I saw the effort it took, the struggle to let go of his preconceptions. "I'm not saying it's easy, but I want to try." It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Over the next few weeks, Tom made an effort. He asked Lily about Mia. Awkward at first, but genuine. He listened when she talked, really listened, and I saw the walls between them begin to crumble. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was progress. Meanwhile, I was grappling with my own truth. Telling Lily about Emma had cracked something open inside me, a longing I'd buried for years. I started questioning my marriage, my choices, the life I'd built to keep myself safe. I loved Tom in my own way, but it wasn't the kind of love that set your soul on fire. Not like what Lily and Mia had. One night, after Lily and Mia had gone to bed, I sat Tom down. "There's something I need to tell you," I said, my heart pounding. "I've been hiding something too." His eyes widened as I told him about Emma, about the part of myself I'd locked away. I told him I wasn't sure what it meant for us, but I couldn't keep pretending. He listened, his face a mix of shock and sadness, but he didn't interrupt. "I don't know what to say," he admitted when I finished. "But I'm glad you told me." We sat in silence, the weight of our truths settling between us. I didn't know where we'd go from here, but for the first time I felt free. Like I could breathe. Lily, meanwhile, was finding her strength again. She went back to school, her head held high, Mia by her side. They faced the whispers together, their love a shield against the world. I watched them, proud and a little envious, knowing they were building something I'd never had the courage to chase. But the world wasn't done with us yet. A local church group started a petition against promoting LGBTQ+ identities in schools, citing Lily and Mia's relationship as an example. The news spread like wildfire, and soon, our quiet suburb was a battleground of opinions. I saw the fear creep back into Lily's eyes, the doubt that maybe she'd never be accepted. "We'll fight this," I told her, my voice fierce. "You deserve to be who you are, and no one gets to take that away." She nodded, her jaw set, and I saw the fire return. We weren't just a family anymore, we were a team, ready to face whatever came next. The petition turned our lives into a circus. Neighbors whispered behind their hands, and our mailbox filled with letters, some supportive, others cruel. Lily and Mia held hands tighter, their love a quiet act of defiance, but I could see the strain in their eyes. We decided to fight back. I organized a community meeting, inviting parents, teachers, and anyone willing to listen. Lily and Mia stood at the front of the room, their voices steady as they shared their story. Lily spoke of her fear, her love, her hope for a world that didn't make her hide. Mia talked about the strength they found in each other, the joy of being seen. I watched, my heart swelling with pride, as the room fell silent, their words sinking in. Tom was there too, his presence a quiet show of support. He didn't speak, but he listened, and when Lily finished, he stood and hugged her, right there in front of everyone. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and for Lily it was everything. The petition lost steam after that. People started talking, really talking, and slowly the tide turned. The school implemented new policies to protect students like Lily and Mia, and the community began to heal. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, there were still whispers, still judgment, but it was progress. For me, the fight brought clarity. I realized I couldn't keep living half a life. Tom and I had long talks, painful but honest, and we decided to part ways. Not out of anger, but out of respect for the people we wanted to be. He moved out, and we promised to stay family for Lily's sake. I started exploring my own truth, reaching out to old friends, even tracking down Emma. We met for coffee, and though the years had changed us, the spark was still there. It wasn't a romance rekindled, but a friendship reborn, and it gave me hope for my own future. Lily and Mia graduated high school, their love stronger than ever. They moved into a tiny apartment near college, decorating it with fairy lights and second-hand furniture. I visited often, bringing homemade meals and watching them build a life together. Lily's laughter filled the room, and Mia's eyes shone with love, and I knew they'd be okay. One evening, as we sat on their tiny balcony, Lily turned to me. "Thank you," she said, her voice soft, "for everything." I smiled, my heart full. "You showed me what courage looks like," I said. "I'm the one who should be thanking you." We sat there, the three of us, watching the sunset over the city. The world wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and we'd fought for it. Together we'd found a way to love, to live, to be true. And that, I realized, was the most beautiful victory of all. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.